Are we live?
Not yet? Okay, we are live.
Awesome. Thank you. Uh-oh, I have a lozenge. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Motor Vehicle and Transportation Subcommittee of the Environment and Transportation Committee here in the Maryland House of Delegates. It is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. Thank you for joining us. We have a pretty short agenda today, and I'm Delegate Robin Lewis, the chair. I will ask my staffer, my wonderful staffer, Leafka, if you'd be so kind to share your screen, and we'll just make sure everyone knows what we're covering today. Thank you, Leafka. So our agenda includes 4 bills. We're going to change the order, but the 4 bills we're going to cover are House Bill 30, House Bill 107, House Bill 174, and House Bill 451. I'm going to move House Bill 30 to the end. So we'll start with House Bill 107. That's Motor Vehicles Intelligent Speed Assistance System Pilot Program Establishment. That is sponsored by Delegate Nick Allen. And we talked about this bill. We talked about this bill last week. So, and there's been some discussion, some deliberation, and some amendments. We have an updated, interlineated reprint of the bill. And Patrick, if you would be so kind and walk us through the reprint now. I believe this has been sent to every member, but we're also going to show it on the screen. So Leafka, if you'd be so kind, and then that way Patrick can walk us through and just follow Patrick's instructions about where to go in the document.
Okay, and Chair Lewis, and I know the sponsor, Delegate Allen's on the call if he has anything to say. I think we might want to hold on to this for one more week. When we were in bill hearings, we had a number of issues that were raised. They're not bill killing issues. They're not anything that's going to delay us, but that's going to kill the bill. Just stuff that we have to address with MVA and with JPR. And I think Delegate Allen has also seen these communications.
Okay, Delegate Allen, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry, I have my camera off because my bandwidth is pretty low. Yeah, no, that's fine, Patrick. I know I saw the emails. And there's also something I didn't get a chance to talk to you about before this, that apparently the Senate version, they're working on their own amendments as well. So I just want to make sure we kind of close the loop with them, just to make sure we're not doing this again in a month after crossover. So if that's I'm fine with that, if that's the will of the subcommittee and all, Madam Chair.
But we can still run through the amendments we have now, which aren't going to be changed, I don't believe.
Okay, so if this reprint has amendments we want to review, let's just do it. We won't take action on the bill. We'll wait for the Senate amendments to come over and then harmonize or reconcile as we see fit, or not. But in the meantime, Patrick, please walk us through the reprint.
Very good. Leafka, can we go down to page 2? Here we go, right here. Perfect. Okay, we adjust, and you'll see this is in 2 parts. We adjust the timing of the suspensions. It says here, require a restrictive license for the period of the suspension, which was taken from the language for the ignition interlock program, but those suspensions are much longer than the ones that we're dealing with here. So I don't think we want to totally mirror those suspensions. And instead, we just make clear that these are restrictive licenses that require the use of an intelligent speed assistance system. And if we go down further to the next page, a little bit further, Leafka. Actually, I think it's the next page after this. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Lisa. This is one of the things NVA was talking about, was what violations does it actually apply to? So we'll be talking about that in the next week. But here we just make it, straight violations of speeding violations. Instead of going through these individual violations that in the code, as they testify to, do change all the time. Whenever we add or subtract something, these go up and down by numbers. And when you cite these by numbers, we could all of a sudden be citing something completely irrelevant to speeding. So changing this to a combination of violations under the speeding subtitle makes some sense, but I think that language will need to be tweaked a little bit.
So we'll come back to this.
And then we go right below this a little bit. And here sets the point here is that the fines for the points violations are for a first time, it's 30 days. And for a second time, it's 90 days. The idea is that these are systems that you have to, go out and get. And actually, excuse me, the current law is like 2 days to 30 days, but MVA says they do 30 days. And then it's like 15 days to 90 days, something like that. And they say that, again, they do the maximum. So kind of just took those numbers and doubled them. And I just realized that in Roman 2 here, it should be 180 days. The point being is that, if this is too short, then what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point? And as Delegate Allen said last week and has said all along, we've got to balance the incentives here a little bit. And do we think that, somebody would prefer to have a 30-day suspension or 60 days where they can still drive and be using the governor?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so this should be for a second or subsequent offense, 180 days. And then for revocation, which is much more serious, because for revocation, you generally, and NBA can maybe confirm this, I think they are in a meeting right now. You have to go through the whole process again to get your license back. So this would be 1 year to avoid having to go through that.
So let me make sure I understand this. For an individual who participates in the program, they shall be a participant 60 days for the first suspension, 180 days for the second, and then a year. If they're revoked for a year?
No, they are not revoked or suspended. They have to be in the program for those periods of time to avoid their suspensions and revocations.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
And I missed one thing, Livka, if you can go back up, it's very important. It's back on page 2, I believe. Nope, back down.
Yeah.
Okay, go down a little bit. Oh, it's on page 4 again. Go to the top of page 4. I'm still getting used to Zoom and Teams and all that. Okay, stop. There we go. Right here in line 6, this is making it permissive instead of mandatory.
An individual may be a participant if they've accumulated points, right? Okay. And the rationale for that?
Well, it goes back to our discussion last week about the chair not having a car. How do we do it then? What if you wrecked your car in a violation?
Gotcha.
All sorts of scenarios that were difficult to deal with, making it mandatory. Plus, this is a pilot program.
Right.
And then we went through the ignition interlock program and how they do it. That's a mess. It's partially permissive, partially required. It depends on what you're charged under, and we don't want to go there.
We don't want to replicate that complexity.
Right.
Okay.
At least not now.
Not fit for the pilot. All right. Well, we'll certainly learn a lot from it. Okay. Are those the key changes we need to see today, Patrick?
Those are the key changes, I believe. Yes, they are the key changes.
Thank you. So we'll have discussion. Delegate Allen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I want to first of all just thank Patrick for continuing to work with me and work with MVA. Like Patrick said, we want to make sure it is a pilot program, so the point of it is to work out some of these kinks, but we also want to make sure we do it in a way that's going to give us good feedback and good data. I'll also note, and again, we could talk about this more offline, Patrick, but the Senate amendments, as I understand them, are just kind of making sure that the manufacturers of the device aren't necessarily held liable when they shouldn't be.
Did you see
So
the
I think
email I sent to you?
my computer bandwidth is so bad when I'm on Zoom right now, I close my email.
Okay. I responded to you on that, and we'll talk about that.
Okay. All right. Now that's all I have to say. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I see Delegate Ziegler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'm very curious if this has any effect on actually changing behavior, particularly for people who have it for a longer period of time. If you just get into a habit of not driving as fast, and I'm just wondering if we're set up to really kind of study what's going on here and collect that data.
Good question. Is MVA available in the Zoom room? Or anyone from MDOT? Because that's a great question. My understanding is that there is implementation experience. There's, a literature on the use of speed governors, but it would be great to have an expert respond. So if there's no one from MVA or even MDOT in the room, Delegate Ziegler, would you be all right if we get an answer to your question?
Delegate
Sure,
Lisa Nisley is on the call.
Okay, I can't see, so thank
Yeah,
you. for
Lisa
letting me know.
Nisley and Matt Michler are both on the call.
Okay, so whichever of you would like to answer Delegate Ziegler's question, please unmute yourself, because I can't see you.
This is Lisa. Can you hear us?
Yes, thank you, Lisa, go ahead.
Technical difficulties today. I don't know specifically about studies with the long term, but certainly we can be monitoring and share information with you after the pilot. And I'm happy to go back to our staff and ask if they're aware of any studies that provide that information.
Thank
And
you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
one of the things that MVA was talking about, and it makes sense, is a bit of a delayed effective date on the pilot program to allow them to set it up. And we can also beef up some reporting language that's necessary to help address Delegate Ziegler's concerns.
Delegates, thank you, Patrick. Delegate Ziegler, what kind of indicators would you look for the pilot to measure? What data would be meaningful for your interest? Just out of curiosity.
Now that I think about it, maybe it was a dumb question, because really what you'd want to measure is, after they take the governor off, do people continue to drive slower? Like, does it permanently change behavior? And obviously, that's not going to be captured by the pilot. So actually, I think it was a dumb question. Sorry.
Well, if the pilot's long enough, it may be able to. And you can measure it by how many people have to go back into the program or get their license suspended.
Well, there is that, right? Are people reoffending? Yeah, that is true.
So that would be really good to have in the study, Ms. Nisley. And great. Thank you, Delegate Ziegler. If you have other ideas of measures you would like the pilot to take into account, email those to us, to me and the sponsor and Patrick. Okay, and we can share them with MVA. Great, thank you so much. Delegate Odom. Delegate Odom? Uh-oh.
I think
Am I
he's
frozen?
there he is.
Madam Chair.
Okay, there we go.
just,
Sorry, I froze, I think.
I had a difficulty with my mute button, but this may be in line with Delegate Ziegler's question or inquiry about the behavior change. Since this is a pilot program, I don't know whether there's any data related to that. But this question is in line with the behavioral piece of it, because I don't know if anything we have within the legislation even speaks to change in behavior. But I would think, and I'm no expert in this, obviously, but I would think that knowing the reasons for the habitual speeding would, probably help us a little bit in terms of trying to see whether there's any way we can measure that change of behavior. But because some people may do it, I'm just guessing here, maybe habitually late, postponing, like getting where they need to be, such as to work or to wherever they're required to be at. So I don't know how we could, measure any of those things, but that's the question that came to my mind in hearing Delegate Ziegler ask about that.
Yeah, that's terrific. I mean, these are exactly the kinds of things, just common sense questions. We want to know drivers of behavior, whether behavior changes. So I think these ideas are wonderful. I do just want to make clear, we would not use this legislation to prescribe what questions should be asked in a pilot. As a public health researcher, you wouldn't want to put that in statute, but we would let MVA know this is our input. They're here in the room with us, they're listening, and I'm sure they'll be working with a survey designer or behavior change, someone with some behavior change experience. They do that sort of work anyway. They do customer service stuff all the time. So we're letting our colleagues in the agency know these are questions that would be interesting to us. And that means the report they produce would be meaningful and valuable for us. So thank you, guys. Any other suggestions? I encourage you to send to Patrick and me and the bill sponsor, and we'll make sure MVA gets that. Was there anyone else who wanted to speak?
I had one follow-up on that as well, Madam Chair, if I can.
Yes, please, go ahead.
And then I don't think we speak to once a candidate like completes this program, and is there any, like, if they continue to speed, I don't know if we need to address that, but would they be able to just continually enroll, or and that may be covered in that section that they made a few changes on.
So you're asking, is there ever an end to an intervention for a
Right.
for a chronic dangerous driver? That's a good question. In the bill as written, I don't recall anything specific. Patrick or Delegate Allen, did you have any thoughts on that? Like, this is a pilot, so.
Well, you would think, if you think about it, if we do a pilot for a number of years, first it's going to take them a while to get it up. But just say, for example, it's 3 or 4 years. If, one thing, getting the data, like Delegate Ziegler was saying, if we figure out how many of these people are coming back into the program, that would be helpful to know. Second of all, there probably wouldn't be opportunity for more than once to get back into it, just given the time frame. But it's something to think of long-term for certain. Now, there is a provision in the bill that speaks to, if you somehow, if you don't finish the program, then you get back to your suspension, you can come back in, but you have to do it for 3 months or for
You have to
longer
wait.
time.
You have to wait 3 months to get back in?
No, you don't have to wait that long. I think we changed it to 10 minutes and 10 days in the amendments, but you have to, well, let's see here. It's,
An individual who
3 months. It's at the bottom of page 5, the top of page 6. Yeah, if an individual re-enters the program, this is after failing out, if you will, for lack of a better term. Under this subsection, at that point, they're serving their suspension. So if they re-enter the program, they'd have to wait 10 days. The individual shall participate in a program for 3 months in addition to the original period of time.
Right. So they have to complete whatever assignment sentence they were originally supposed to fill, prorate it for whatever they have to complete, whatever they didn't complete, and then add on another 3 months.
Correct.
Is there some similar provision for other types of chronic driving violations? If you, anywhere else in the transportation article, what do we do for chronic speeders or chronic, is there anything else? I don't know.
Well, mainly it's just the enforcement mechanism, suspension, revocation, the like.
Okay, good question. Let's keep that in mind because we do want to support people in behavior change, and there are ways to do that. And we would like it to be lasting. So let's keep that in mind and encourage MVA as they design the pilot program. That's the intent of the bill from our perspective. Great. Are there any other questions or inputs? All right. Thank you all so much. With that, we will return to House Bill 107 in a future meeting after we've got Senate amendments and a chance to work through the loose ends. Now let's move to House Bill 174. That's motor vehicles and marine vessels transfer on death designations, from sponsor Delegate Cardin, House Bill 174. So this was an interesting bill. This was not a reintroduction. There was no, this bill hadn't been introduced in the last 3 years, but it was similar to a bill from 2024. The intent of the bill is to make sure that marine vessels can be easily and seamlessly transferred from the owner to the beneficiary. It sets up terms for transfer from owner to beneficiary. And there's no significant fiscal impact. DNR special fund might increase a little bit. The Transportation Trust Fund revenues might increase a little bit. There's no effect on state expenditures. So let's take a look at this bill. Patrick, would you walk us through?
Yeah, okay, a number of years ago, we did the transfer on death beneficiary for motor vehicles. That was for sole owners of motor vehicles. They could designate a beneficiary in the transfer of death, and it would avoid probate. This alters that for motor vehicles and says that, if you have joint owners, multiple owners, then the last surviving owner passes away, they could have also named a beneficiary. Usually these are joint tenants, but they could have named a beneficiary and also avoid probate. So it just doesn't have to be a sole owner. So it provides for that in the motor vehicle current law. And then it takes that whole process and moves it over to vessels in the natural resources article, exactly the same as the motor vehicles as amended is for vessels. This bill literally had no opposition, all favorables, no amendments.
Right.
And the Senate bill has passed today, third reader, so we'll get it tomorrow.
All right, can we pass this one?
Move favorable.
Okay, do I have a
Second.
second?
Second?
Thank you. So having been properly moved and seconded, is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. We have just passed House Bill 174 out of the Motor Vehicle and Transportation Subcommittee.
Okay, Madam Chair, I just got an email from Andrea. She's apparently waiting in the waiting room.
Oh, great. Leafka, would you be so kind and let
Um,
Andrea in?
Yeah, she's already been let in.
Oh,
Okay.
great. Thank you. Oh, there she is. I see her name at the bottom. Thank you so much, Leafka. Thank you, Patrick. All right, great. Let's move on to House Bill 451. And after House Bill 451, we will finish out with House Bill 30. Okay, House Bill 451, Maryland Zero Emissions Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Council, reporting and sunset extension. This is as a common sense Bill, this was just extending the existence of the Zero Emission Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Council. The current legislation has it sunsetting, and we want to keep it going.
Well, but
And
we
what
wanna
else,
hold this
Patrick,
one.
walk us through?
We want to hold this one. We just got amendments on this from the
Ah,
sponsor
okay,
that are altering the membership and altering the charge of the council. I've discussed it with the sponsor. He obviously supports holding on to it
oh, that's right.
as we discuss it. And in fact, he just left here. And we'll be talking to motor vehicles. Lisa, we will be talking about this bill. And this is, as the chair said, this is just a bill to extend the sunset for this, for ZVIC, the Zero Emission Vehicle Infrastructure Council. And there we are. So,
Yeah, yeah. And since we're waiting for amendment language, should we wait to discuss the bill until we have the amendments before us?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
yeah, I think
So,
there's a lot of moving parts here.
all right. Thank you so much, Patrick. So colleagues, we'll set this aside and return to House Bill 451 in a future meeting. Thank you. All right, let's move to our final bill of the day. That's House Bill 30, Public Safety, Department of State Police, Police-initiated towing alterations from Delegate Foley, House Bill 30. So for those of you who've been on environment and transportation for a while, you're all experts and passionate champions for towing reform. This is another in a line of recent towing reform efforts. This bill focuses on police-initiated towing, and that's towing called, activated by law enforcement in the aftermath of a crash or some other emergency matter. And I think I will, this bill has no fiscal note, and it was well supported. I don't recall any opposition. There was some favorable with amendments, and I think it would be great to bring to let you, first of all, let you guys know that Andrea Mansfield is here to answer any questions you may have. So Patrick, could you walk us through the bill, and then we'll see if there's any discussion and questions.
Okay, Livka, can you pull it up?
Oh, we've got a reprint.
Yes, and you can go down. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, stop here. Here we're just there was some testimony to the effect that at the very least it wasn't clear that the state police would be making the rate, would be establishing the rates for light duty towing or all towing based on the recommendations of the Committee on Rate Setting and Complaint Resolution for Police Initiated Towing and Recovery. If you don't say recovery, they get mad. And this language is just to clarify, to make sure that throughout the bill also, we do get rid of some obsolete dates that were put in 3 years ago. And then an important thing here, and Andrea knows because we talked about it earlier, is in line 8, the word commercial probably should have been taken out because we're adding in light duty. And by definition, commercial is 10,000 and over. That's medium duty, which is between 10 and 26, and heavy duty, which is over 26. Light duty is under that. So we're no longer just talking about commercial motor vehicles. We're talking about all. So commercial's taken out there. We put in, at the request, I believe, of the state police, a cap on on the towing rates for light duty to be at 80% of those rates for medium duty. That's in line 14, instead of kind of a vague in the
Yeah,
bill.
so you set a rate. That's good to see. Okay.
And if we can keep going down, Leafka. Light duty, keep going. All right, hold here. Nope, keep going. That's good. Okay, yeah. This is really big for the towers. The report on insurance and on matters related to payment of because the towers are required to clean up debris and cargo that's spilled and everything, and sometimes insurance doesn't handle that. So they're asking the committee to look at that, the joint committee that we had established 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
And Andrea can maybe expound on that if
So any questions, members? I have a question for Ms. Mansfield. Could you talk a little bit more and just remind us why this report on insurance matters was important to towers? And-
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair, and also thank you for flexibility. We appreciate it. Everything happens at the same time today for some reason, but thank you. There's 2 issues that have been occurring, and actually, in one, it's been going on for a little bit, but basically, if you are for a truck driver or someone, or commercial vehicle driver that is insured and registered out of state, as they come through, if there was an accident, basically the insurance administration, even though they did issue a bulletin back in 2016 to try to address this issue, to say that the at-fault driver is responsible for paying the costs of the tows and the cleanup of the debris and cargo. More recently, there have been some issues with those drivers registered and insured out of state, where the insurance administration, basically they have the ability to regulate Maryland insured individuals, but if they're insured out of state, they don't have the authority to help to regulate and oversee that. The other issue, so that is basically the first item on here: examine a report on insurance matters related to vehicles registered and insured out of state. The second, and there are federal requirements in terms of what the insurance coverage levels should be, but in some situations, the accidents, the cost to clean up the cargo and debris may be very expensive, and maybe it's not at a level to cover the cost of the cleanup for that accident. So in those situations, the tow truck companies, they are left without any recourse or out without receiving payment for the work that they've done. So these have been, and actually in trying to dig into these issues a little bit more, it's very complicated, and we learned that very quickly. And we did have conversations with the insurance administration. Obviously, Maryland Motor Truck has some issues, basically they should be involved in the discussion as well, which is why we felt that since this committee is in place and it has all of those particular representatives on this group, it would be a good place to kind of bring all the parties together to have the discussion, to determine, to look at it more closely, report on the issues that have been occurring, and determine appropriate next steps for addressing these insurance matters.
And it sounds like a good way to do that is by putting the question to the department and delivering a report. So, okay.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
hopefully that will put the questions to rest, and we'll have information that we might use if solutions are needed. Great. Any other questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I should just let everyone know that the state police are fine with these amendments.
Oh, good. Good to know. Thank you. Well, if there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion to adopt the amendments.
Move the amendments, Madam Chair.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. So any discussion? Great. Then I will put it to the subcommittee. All those in favor of adopting the amendment, say aye.
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 Any nays? Hearing none, the amendments are adopted. I'll entertain a motion to move the bill as amended.
Move the bill, Madam Chair.
Second?
Or second.
Great. Properly moved and seconded. All those any discussion? All those in favor of House Bill 30 as amended, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. The bill as amended, House Bill 30 as amended, is passed. That was the last bill on our agenda for today's meeting. Any other business? All right, with that, we've concluded our work, and I thank you. We are now adjourned.
Thank you.